What's up, guys? Mikey in the building. I'm going to go over my ENTO trade today. I'll go over the chart, the daily first. Um, First day back at school, so I did not really trade any pre-market. I had a busy morning, and then I showed up at like 9:10. Really went over the gappers. There's still really not a lot of momentum with a lot of names to kind of go through. To me, this was the most obvious one for me, just because of my playbook and what kind of dailies I like to trade. Um, So, real quick, I did like this because it was gapping up above some consolidation area over here, above the 200s. We did have to recrack 62s, get over 68 cents. That was 68 cents was a big level from 3.3, and then we had that high of 89. All right. We were still underwater because this still failed multiple times to retrace this consolidation, or when it really dumped and fell off the map right here on the daily. Small window gap, cool, but it did fail here, failed there again. So it failed 3 times. So this becomes a big area for actually to reclaim. If we actually go back on 3.3, and it's always important to look at how things kind of set up on those days. Let me go to 3.3. So 3.3s are here. It did try, put in a lower high, failed. So most of the volume was really traded over here. There actually wasn't that much volume being traded in this area, but it's still a good level. And then you had that 4.3 day back over here. That VWAP was 82 cents. That high was 89. Then that was that after hour pop. So just to get an idea of like how it's trading, go always look back at after hours, pre-market, things like that. Okay, another failed attempt right there. That's our day right there, 68 cents. This is 7.9, right? This is a nice morning 5 a.m. pop. So the structure on these moves are pretty loose, right? I did like this consolidation and buildup right here. And then I actually played this long right here, and then again over here. All right. We're still not getting bigger breakouts. However, this did go 100% for the day almost. Bookwise now, my favorite part. I really did see this control into open, so I like that, particularly right here. Fell off. This becomes a level of interest. So when we started to actually slice through these areas of control, I thought this was again right here control, and this guy got taken out. I actually joined into this, soaked this, and then joined into this. I actually first took a starter over here when I saw this sellers get exhausted and failed to continue to the downside with bid support. All right, just a starter. That was actually a decent trade right there. And then I re-soak, averaged up, and really went pretty aggressive right here. And the reason why I keep going aggressive sometimes on these first moves is because all I'm getting is one leg, right out of the gates, and then there's no continuation, which I did re-soak this. I really wanted this to rotate right here. I'm really not getting that second rotation in a bigger, grindier move, right? A couple characteristics again, nice control right out of the gates to see, and then to see this seller get absorbed with buyers. Buyers took the seller out, and to see that nice breakout and continuation, it's really nice when you get a 20% candle in like a few seconds. But that also can be bad because there's no big buildup, right? Super important when there's no big buildup, and then it starts to consolidate, and it's trading at 96%, 92%, flagging nonetheless. That's when the traps can happen as the long, because now it did get extended. It actually got really loose and swiped really hard within the matter of a minute. And then the trap came. So there's a few traps right here that I think, especially over here when this buyers did step up and there's no continuation with a lack of bid follow up. I really wanted to see this kind of break out and put another leg, but they're selling into bids. So over here, this becomes empty. But more importantly, offers start to come in and start to shove this guy down. 100K, think this guy, yeah, the same seller, 100K, you know, and then they try to bid it right here, right? So this is a book flip, 100K right there. They book flip this guy at 66 and it doesn't break out. So that's, you know, not the best type of sign right there. This is that 1 minute 50 soak. This is where I re-soak. Now this is starting to create a bunch of higher lows, higher lows. This should have went right here and continued, especially when I started to see upper liquidity. Didn't really like that. And then when they shoved this offer down here, buyer stepped up. This should have really went again right here, especially when there's just, you know, a little bit of liquidity up top. But that did not. That failed to break out and like really attack these other lower highs right there. That's key. Another thing is that the same guys, right? You got to be really careful. So these sellers came back another 100K right there, right here, shoved it down right here. Again, same thing right here. It's kind of funny. They did the same trick right here. They put a seller right there. They opened it up, put a bid, and this did not break out. Okay. That's a key giveaway right there. You know, especially when you're paying attention to one stock and really getting a good read off either the book or level 2. I love the book because it's visual for me. I get to see how they're you know, pushing and pulling liquidity, and then they did the same thing twice, right? That's a nice little nugget right there. That was pretty much it. I only traded one name. I lied. BJDX. I tried it once and then I took only a medium-sized lot, and then I sold half, and then the other half went against me, so I just stopped out real quick and put all my focus on the Ento. Decent returns. Did have a 55 average right there, and it did catch this move right here, so that was 23%. And then I sold a chunk, averaged up into here, into the 50. I actually bought into that buyer, you know, so from there I was able to squeeze out another about 20%. So 2 really nice trades on that one, and then I kind of left it alone. This should have rotated right here, and then it failed, right? That's kind of the stuff I showed you on the book right over here, you know. So book-wise, you can kind of see that failed rotation right here, 10:05. Right, so that happened literally right here. So this really needed to go, but it just, you know, especially when they start to pull some offers and you're like, wait, what's going on? This should continue. Then they dump it, they shove it down right there, and again they try to rotate it. Same tricks, right? Right here. So now we're getting that 10:30 failed rotation over here on the book. So when you can compare it, you know, that should have went. So I left the rest of that name alone on that one, right? Another couple things real quick. I want to make this one pretty short. You know, it's always important to see where could we get the next lower high potential on a daily, because if you think about most of these small caps, they sell off. So they put in lower highs, they consolidate, they rotate, they run into a previous liquidity day, whether it's the previous VWAP or maybe a small gap to fill in the backside, but that backside gap fills into a lower high anyways, and then potentially sells off. When you're looking at a daily, always look for a potential lower high area, and when that lower high starts to come in, that's when you start to get the reads, like maybe this flag right here, or it tries to rotate again, and now it's putting a lower high in its structure, but originally it put in a bigger lower high on the daily. And it's really important to try to see what kind of paints or like what kind of chart patterns, what kind of, for me, it's what kind of book stuff that's popping up. I always like to look at the reads of like when we're now trading higher and where it could possibly put a lower high on the daily, and then how is that liquidity following it up or pushing against it at those levels? Are buyers more interested in those levels to actually break through and squeeze the stock higher, or is it getting weaker now and is it setting up some long trap minute pattern where, you know, it's like, you know, if anybody missed this soak and now it's starting to go parabolic, you know, you got new buyers stepping up right here, and it might be swiping, you know, small swipes on the one, you know, buyer stepped right here, looks like it fails, Now, anybody trying this is going to stop out and now create a bigger dump, right? Some people might catch FOMO and trade this, and it's like, okay, this might go, dumps, right? That's why I like to soak instead of playing any of this kind of stuff on that one. So it's very important. Daily wise, look for a lower high. Look how the stock's set up. Look what levels it's running to when you look left on the daily. You know, sometimes it could just be ceilings, right? There's a ceiling, or even this is a ceiling right here. You know, and now it's running into it, right? So now when I'm trading this daily, yeah, we're breaking out of these levels. That 68 breaks nice, right? That's that previous view up. It failed it once, so we're breaking above it, but now it needs to continue and really and base and break out more. But you know, these aggressive. This is a grindy push, pulls back, but this is a very aggressive clear out right here, right? Nice little micro clear out. It already double topped right here, and then it does this aggressive micro clear out where it just breaks out. You know, it's not bad. It's 10 cents. Definitely nice when you have 62 average, 55s and 62s on that one. But right here, yeah, there's no really follow through, or like maybe a slower, pulls back a little bit sharper, consolidates, and then breaks out. Didn't happen. But yeah, that's all I got. ENTO guys, some really, 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 really great book reads. Again, IMG, not IMG, IMG did some similar price action too with this kind of stuff right here, and that got real ripped pre-market, right? And then it rotated later again. But yeah, good stuff on that. Good reads over here. It's especially when they're kind of doing the same tricks over and over again. You kind of catch on real quick. That's always great, right? All right, guys. Much love. Peace out, Mikey.